Sanbanani, welcome to Elevate. My name is Zisto, the Yummy Mami, and as you know, Jalolana Sinletel Abantu who've elevated their lives and hoping that the conversation will elevate your life. Now, Sanjay, I've got a engineering geologist turned media and marketing entrepreneur. We're going to find out Mr. Nkosenhle Hlophe is in the building and chatting with me. Mr. Hlophe, how are you? Fantastic. Thank you so much for his Katsaku. You know, as I was doing research, I'm like, okay, these are the kind of people we need to have in our lives. But let's go back to the beginning. So, Nkosenhle Hlophe, and looking back, how did your childhood actually shape Utuban Namhlanje?
So Nkosenhle Hlophe ngokuzalwa ngwaseNtshanga. So mangithi ngiya ekhaya ngisuke ngiya eNtshanga. So I grew up in Tshanga, funda khona, then we moved to Mkambathini. I did my matric at Banqobile High School. And then I passed very well science, and then you know we come from if you pass science, and then you must choose a career in the science faculty. So and then I remember my high school teacher, which geographer he had a friend from varsity to Mhlani, and he's a geologist. So I was like, I know what I'm doing in university. I'm going to be a geologist.
All right.
That's where I first heard about there's a field called geology.
And that obviously shaped you being a geologist because of what your teacher said. And then fast forward, you become a geologist and you're like, actually, I want to be in marketing and media. Tell me about that transition and how that happened.
Yeah, so varsity 4 years, geology, I qualify, graduate, and then I go and work as a geologist for 2.5 years. But I think at some point I was like, nah, this is not for me. You know, I was just not looking forward to go to work. It was not exciting. It was a career, but I wanted something that has impact, something that was going to excite me. So I just looked around at my personality. What do I want to do? So I started a media company. When we started, that was 2010. Yeah. When we started, we were just doing content in terms of video and photography. And then over the years, it transformed to what it is now. Nice. But basically, I just got bored. I was like, I need to work with people because I thought my personality, if it's something that I like, my events, talking to people, writing proposals, and hopefully do some TV, you know, so.
And there's a lesson in that. It means that wherever you are, you can always change. So don't think people just because you've made a choice and a decision, otherwise which we could and for it to work for you, for anybody who's listening, you know. So your company is called Kenako, which is a Sotho word. Why that name as Umzulu? What's the case name?
So Kenako, as you understand, it means it's time. So I started Kenako in 2010, and if you remember, 2010 there was a World Cup. So I'm very Zulu. This is so to Nestwana as Vogue as much. But I think it was when there's a point in your life where you're like, am I in the right place, right? So a friend of mine and myself, and we kept asking ourselves, we need to do something better, you know, because we are bored. We come back from work at 4, and then we sit around play my games. And you know, when you keep procrastinating by thinking about this thing, I need to do something better. And then we started this side video thing, and then at some point I was like, you know what, it's time, I'm leaving this thing. And there was Kenako everywhere, radio, TV, because of the World Cup, and it sounded like a very beautiful name. So we then started Kenako Marketing, and that's basically
All right, so you've been doing that since 2010, and I'm sure you've had a lot of mentors or had a mentor who contributed to your success. Mentorship on this entrepreneurial journey, how important is it and how has it helped you?
Look, I value mentorship. I value mentorship. I consult a lot, right? I've made a lot of mistakes, obviously. When you start your business and you grow, you know, when you say we're hustling. But I value mentorship a lot. I've got about 4 mentors now, physical mentors, and some of them they don't even know that they are my mentors, right? If I know that you're good in finance and we've got a good relationship, that call to say, hey, Zisto, I want to do this, I want to move into a new office, I want to buy cars, I want to do this, can you give me an hour of your time, right? And they're like, oh sure, and then that's mentorship because you know more than I do, so you are then going to guide me. And you've got someone who's good in business strategy, but you can even have like your overall mentor to say, this is the person that I consult. But the advantage that we have now in this day is that you can even have virtual mentors. I've got people that I've never met that I can confidently say they are my mentors. Steve Jobs is one of my mentors.
In his
post-human, you know, because I consume a lot of his content. Like I consume a lot of his, not a single week past ngabukanga a video from him of Simon Sinek, those guys, and certainly YouTube shorts, I consult from those guys a lot, and it shapes what I do before I do, because in the space 6 on there's AI now, right? You're like, hey, I'm being left behind now. So you need to consult. You can either call a mentor, or you can go to these platforms and find a virtual mentor that you can take some tips from. So mentorship is very big as young entrepreneurs.
Especially when you say you look at clips of people and go local in mentorship, because I think a lot of us go on YouTube and go on Instagram and see all these inspirational and wise wisdom words, and we don't consider it as a mentorship. So I like that.
Exactly, because the thing is, you don't want that motivation with one grain of rice, it's what do you do with the motivation. If we be motivated to learn and nothing, then it's a waste of data, right? So it's very important to be teachable as well. How do you learn? Where do you learn? Where do you get inspiration? Some of us, when we watch documentaries, we watch documentaries like, wow. But some of us, we watch documentaries and like, how can I do what he's doing, but at my own level? So mentorship is very big. That is why, because I'm a geologist, right? And when I did Kenako for the first 3 years, then I was like, I never actually studied for this. Then I went to Race Corp. It's an incubation institution. And that is where I found mentors and guides, people that can walk with you, not do it for you, but just guide you. That's where I learned the concept of mentorship and guiding, and I've never looked back.
I love that for you. Says a good journey entrepreneurship in you understand. What would you say has been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Growth. Growth.
Tell us what you mean
it's I'm just thinking about a number of things. So growth can be a challenge. If you grow too soon and you are not ready, growth can be a challenge, right? So one of my challenges in 2016, we were in KZN, we grew so big, but my business model at the time was growing through my freelancers, right? People that I called Mangabeng in M7. We're doing beautiful work, but the amount of work that we were doing, it was not sustainable. And we actually collapsed. So I think one of my biggest challenges in my journey was just to maintain growth. It's okay, not fine. Should you open another office? Should you hire someone? Should you buy another car? You know, those type of things. And that is where then mentorship comes. So if you grow too fast without proper systems, you know, there's even funding, because it's part of growth. If you're running your business, you're doing 300,000 a year, I'm making an example, and then just get funding for 2 million. Do you know that in 6 months that can crash your business? Because you've got these assets now, right? You've got this equipment. You are not ready for it because your systems or your sales capacity does not match. That thing can actually collapse you.
Wow. Okay, I'm learning. It's October's Mental Health Awareness Month. Manje, as umuntu matasatasa, you know, who's got a thriving business, who has a lot of people who touch base with him as the CEO. How do you take care of your mental health, Yakowen?
Just struggling, eh? I was speaking to one of your colleagues about the way especially people that are corporately active, whether you're running your business or we are sebenza, it's like we are inhaling anxiety. Aren't we just all so anxious? Aren't we all that person that you speak to, I'm struggling with depression? So it is, I think I found I'm still on a journey to try and understand myself, what works for me, but running works for me, right? Running works for me. I started 3 years ago just because I was worried about my health. Ngiyasebenza stress from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. What do I do? Then I started running just for my health, physical fitness. But I found when I'm going to have a hectic day or when I'm anxious about something, that 5 kilometers, it does wonders. And some books as well, I read a lot, but obviously those books, it works for your lifestyle, it works for your career, it works for your field. But also therapy, apparently it works. I'm saying apparently. I've been running for years. I've started this year. I've been running for years, you know. And because you know. But I've found, because a lot of people have been like, hey, doctor, diagnose, but just, speak to someone. So I've started. I've done a couple of sessions and I was like,
and how do you feel? Do you feel lighter?
I do. It took me a couple of them to find the one that works for me. and so you must be ready mangabe uzoqala ukuthi you might not find someone that, because impilo zethu asifani, izinto esidinga ayifani. I went there ngitshela ukuthi ngifuna lokho, but my life is so complex. I've got kids, I've got family, I've got extended family, I've got business, I've got finances, nangu sarri yangijaha, you know. So all those things, so you need someone. You might find someone who they're just good in relationships. You know, can we? So it's very important to know what you want before you go and approach a therapist. So it's still I haven't spoken about it. I post a lot, I blog a lot. But then I'm gonna share, because I think it's gonna be very interesting. I'm telling my close friends, even which I'm going to therapy. Hlophe, unenkinga, you know.
Oh no.
Exactly.
That's real.
Yes, because Hlophe, unenkinga. Yes and no, you know. So it is quite interesting when I speak to my brothers about therapy. You know, Nami, I've only been to like 5 or 6 sessions, and I see value. I see value. I had one this week.
Oh, good for you, Mr.
So
White.
We shall see.
AKA, by the way. Tell me a book that changed your life, and what that book?
Malcolm Gladwell. Outliers. That book, I preach about it.
Outliers,
that book. In fact, it is the first book that I read voluntarily, right? After varsity and everything. I'm buying a book. You know, physical science or geological evolution of South Africa. You read those. But the first book that I read, saying it's like a lifestyle, was Malcolm Gladwell. It's called Outliers. It's the one popular for the 10,000 hour rule. Which for you to be an expert in something, you need to at least spend 10,000 doing that thing, right? That book, please read it. Recommend it, because I remember even during COVID, you know, at the lockdown level 5 we were locked. I even ran book clubs, and I was just preaching about this. I love it. And it's so it just speaks about that. And I then went back and looked at my life. If I were to trace my 10,000 hours, where is it? You know, I started debating at grade 5. I started debating at grade 5. Then when I went to high school, I was part of the English society in my school. I was participating in those things. When I got to varsity, I participated in student government politics. And so when I look at, it's just about framing your speech and framing your communication and articulate. So if you trace your 10,000 hours, so it might be late for you and I, maybe, but we then need to teach to our kids and be very intentional. And then we just invest in them. We get tutors for them. We get extra classes if we can. But that's one book. It's got a lot of things. So yeah.
Let's talk about your Forbes 40 Under 40 award that you just received. Congratulations on that. Where were you when you received the call? How did you feel?
It's where was I? Probably at the office. It's one of my colleagues. Yes. It's one of my colleagues that actually sent me a screenshot to say, and there was Nkosenhle, you have been nominated or shortlisted. I was like, what?
Nominated?
Yes,
so you
get
put yourself forward.
No, you get nominated. So, and when I looked at the logo, I was like, you know. So, and then when you accept, to say that's fine, then you have to give a whole lot of information about you. They ask about your background, the type of a leader that you are, the type of projects that you do. Are you involved in any like it's a lot of paperwork. And sometimes like as in so yeah, and then we submitted a photo, a bio, company profile, and then we attended the awards. And yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, 40 under 40.
Congratulations.
That's marketing.
That's outstanding, you know, and everyone knows that behind a successful man is a supportive woman who pushes you, who helps you, and I know you work with your wife. How do you then avoid taking this into the business, the company, and putting it back into your family? How do you handle that? Work-life balance, no maybe.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. There's a lot of positives about it, but there are some challenges, and if you're not careful on anybody, because sometimes there's work and there's family life. That the main disadvantage is if one of the two of these relationships falls apart, it can affect the other, 100%. Right? So yeah, we met in varsity, by the way. She's also a an audiologist, and then 2015 turned into one of the best brand strategists that I know. Yeah. So luckily for her, because she's more into books, she went to Vega to do brand management, and yeah. So we're doing it, and siyazama ukuhlukanisa. See, as I've said, we consult a lot, people that have done it, abangaphambi kwethu, and I have my own support system. She's got her own support system, and then we try to shut down Go, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
But it's a
But if I were to go back and choose again, I would do it.
But as we wrap up for this interview, I want you to finish the sentence to me. The future for Nkosenhle Hlophe looks like
40 under 40 global winner. But yeah, we want to do international productions. We're exploring, we're growing in brand placement on TV. We want to do that for international brands as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nkosenhle Hlophe, Mr. White on Elevate today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you got elevated.